Hey, it's Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres, and today's the 20th of December 2017, so getting pretty close to Christmas, and you can feel that Christmassy spirit. And it was warm yesterday, but it's back down cold today. And I'm broadcasting from this was a livestock shed, and we're turning it into a maintenance area, and then we're going to use our ClearSpan for something else, but it's a project we've been working on. I'm kind of enjoying myself in here today, and I had time to think. And I put up a video yesterday, and I titled it, "Nobody Cares What You Think." And that comes from my childhood. I grew up in a family with 6 children, and 5 of them were girls, so I was the odd man out. And so you learn how to fend for yourself, in that scenario. And one time, one of my sisters said to me, "Nobody cares what you think." So I've incorporated that into my life. Hey, here's a good place I can put this, and I don't have to hold it. Well, anyway, I made that video and I put it up. And when I did it, I thought, nobody really cares. But that's not true, because that woman cared enough to come and ask me about that in Big Boy. And then a couple of the people that chimed in on it I haven't heard from in a while, so I thought I'd follow up on it and just kind of give an explanation of what I think. I'm getting a message right now from my sister, so she must be, she can't see this, it's not live. Anyway, and she was the one that said, "Nobody cares what you think, Mark." Anyway, I had a conversation with one of my GI friends this morning too, and we had to discuss some things, and we had to really get down to the nitty-gritty. And I said, well, what's the mission? What's the mission? What are you trying to accomplish here? And that was one of the things that we always had to struggle with in the military, is what is the mission? What are we trying to do, and why are we trying to do it? So I didn't want to come off as though I'm just throwing stones at Senator Colbeck. I'm not. The guy's caught up in the same thing that we're all caught up in as American people, and we have been for a long time. And I've told you that a change is coming, and a lot of people have asked me, well, what's this change? What do you know? Who cares what you think? But the change is something that I can feel, because I was caught up in the antithesis of this change. Okay, the change that's coming is, we say as American citizens that we're a nation that is under rule of law. But think about that for a while. Think about that. You are, as a citizen, if you exceed the speed limit, bam, you get pulled over and you get a ticket and you got to pay money. But some of our elected officials, they're not held to that. And even in our county here, there's a lot of people that will never get ticketed for doing anything wrong just because they're part of the right crowd. So that is not rule of law. And I even had to explain this to my son, because he got pulled over for doing 15 over, and because of some of his affiliations, he did not get a ticket. And I said, that's not right. If you're exceeding the speed limit and you're breaking the law, then you need to be treated the same. So in my case, I've said this a lot. We have a serious leadership problem here in the state of Michigan. And it's because our leaders are not under the rule of law, and they want to hold us to the rule of law. In my case, we had an agency, the Department of Natural Resources, comes out with an order, and they pulled it out of their corner office and said that any pig with a straight tail or a curly tail is illegal, or any pig that has a distinctive skeletal appearance. Distinctive. They didn't tell what the distinctions were. And it seemed foolish, but that is a telltale sign of the antithesis of rule of law. And what we did is we said, no, the Constitution of the United States, which is the supreme law of the land, which outlines rule of law, says that under the Fifth Amendment, I have the right to my right to life, liberty, and property is protected under due process of law. Not order, not regulation, not fatwa, nothing like that. And that's the truth. That's the way it is in this country, but it hasn't been treated that way in so long. And so here that's behind us. The whole thing with the DNR is behind us. But now we're entering into another phase, and that's where we're going to elect new leadership, right? And if we go with the same type of individual that we've elected before, we're going to get the same type of crap. What we want is rule of law. And here's a great example. You know, I'm not real up on the Attorney General. I've never met him. I really have never even heard his voice because I avoid it. But what he and his office did to my family has made me not like him very much. But he was able to do that because we have no rule of law. You see, when the Attorney General is elected, he takes an oath, and the oath is to protect and defend the constitutional rights of the citizens who have elected him, right? He lies, and he says that, no, my job is to protect these agencies, these unelected agencies, like DNR, DEQ, MDA, all those that are actually private corporations. So he's lying to you. He's telling you a definite 180 degrees out from the way it really is. And then he violates his oath of office. Now, under rule of law, he has violated the supreme law of the land. And as somebody that we've elected to a position of authority and position of power, we give him a lot of authority and power as the Attorney General, we hold him to a higher standard. Only thing is under this way that we've been for so long, and I'm sorry, but it's communist, he's held to no standard. He can continue to lie, and the people around him that hold him up are invested. They are invested in his corruption, right? But there's far more of us than there are of them. I don't benefit from a corrupt politician. You know, it's just not a place where I am in my life. There's nothing they can do for me. Even the politicians around here, they have their animals butchered from the fair, and then they never pick them up from me. So they cost me money. They're not doing me any good. And they're not doing you any good either. And this is what people have to realize. There is a better way. Oath of office, as I've said before, right in this very place, is the key to getting us back as a society to rule of law. And that means everybody is held to the rule of law, not just the citizenry. So I guess that's it. That's the point I wanted to make on this lovely morning. A lot of these things tie together. Oh, there was another point that I wanted to make about these people that operate not under rule of law, some of the techniques that they love to use. And why don't I cut this one off here at 8 minutes, and I'll pick it up on the other side, because I'm going to need about 10 minutes to explain that one. And, you know, I'm not enlightened, other than I've walked down this road, and I've made observations along the way, and I have one other thing going for me that you all have that you need to find, and I will go into that in the next video, because it is imperative. This is Mark from Baker's Green Acres. Remember, anyone can farm.